All right, so in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to customize the nav bar for your application. And the thing about it is, like, you kind of have to have a concept or visual metaphor or something that visually describes the tone and the feel and the brand behind the app. So I'm going to use an example. A friend of mine launched an app having to do with recording memories of various wines that he's enjoyed. So, the idea was that, when you think of wine aging, you think of like, a warm feeling, an inebriated feeling, sometimes a cellar or a fine wooden cabinet to hold all the wines and that sort of thing. So, it wouldn't be the same look and feel as if you were promoting a rap album, it wouldn't be appropriate to have probably graffiti and brick wall or something in the background here or whatever. So anyway, the idea is that you have some kind of image in mind that really conveys the feel of your app. So what I would do to achieve just this one element here, we'll start with the nav bar, is you dig into the nav bar folder here. And you'll see the various items that make up the nav bar. There's the edit button, which you can go in and change that to say, whatever you want. And then you've got the back button. But the thing is, you've got the main shapes of the buttons that typically reside on the nav bar. And you can move these around and make them bigger and smaller or whatever you want to do. I'll show you how to do that in a second. The title bar is made up of, the actual title of the app, or the title of the screen most often. And there's a slight beveling effect with a line on the top and then also a line on the bottom here. There we go. And then there's the background of the nav bar, which has a gradient overlay. All right, so I'm going to actually move this onto the thing so we can see it a little better. So the first thing I would do is concentrate on what sort of imagery needs to live on the background of the nav bar. And, you can go anywhere to try to find images, just for the sake of simplicity and to move this along quicker. I'm going to actually pull in the wood gradient from this right here. A quick way to jump from to the exact layer that you want is on Mac, hold down on Option Command and right click. Option Command right click, and you see how it jumped me straight down to this wood layer here, and that's the layer that I want. And to quickly jump out of the full screen mode, which I'm in right now, I'm pushing the F key twice. And there I jump out of that full screen mode so that I can drag and drop this element onto my canvas here, which is this one right here. Okay, so another quick tip here, if you don't use this already, is these canvases are the same size, okay? So what I can do is, to save time, quickly move this to be positioned exactly where it should be positioned on this canvas. And so the way that you would do that, and I'm not going to pull this because I want to show you how to adjust the hue and saturation, is you hold down on the Shift key and click on, or vice versa, click on the layer you want, hold down on the Shift key, and just drag that layer over to your new canvas. And you see how it fit perfectly over that? That's just a quick little trick there that I like to use. Okay, so here we have our wood grain, right? And to me, it's all about speed of getting around, because sometimes it's just like, you're on a deadline or whatever. All right, so we have our wood grain, but the next thing that we need to figure out is how to make it look like an actual wood grain piece, make it look like the tone and color of wood. So, and you don't have to worry about this background because that's behind that now. You can turn it off if you want to, but it doesn't affect it. All right, so what I'm going to do is go to Layer and new adjustment layer. Another way to do it is to go to image adjustments, but what happens is it adjusts the image permanently and you can't go in and make little tweaks. So what I do is I always use a new adjustment layer. And what this does is it creates a separate layer that you can go in and manipulate after you've made maybe your initial changes. You can go in and make more changes. So what I always do is, and I'll pull this over so you can get a better look at it, is colorize in this scenario. Not in all scenarios would you colorize, but in this instance, that's what I'm going to do. And I want it to be kind of a brownish, sort of a rich brown color. So I'm going to pull it around into the orange section here. You'll see what happens when I pull it to the various colors. It basically just takes on the color of the little rainbow you see here. So where I like it is right about there, I think. And then I'll go in and start fooling around with the saturation. You can see it's already starting to look more like wood grain now. And you can even tweak the lightness if you want, if you like it just slightly darker, right? And so, this looks pretty good. I'm not going to fool with it forever because we got to keep moving in the tutorial, but that's essentially, you've just created a wood background for your nav bar. Bam. I mean, it was that simple, right? So, and we haven't been doing this for more than 5 minutes. So, it's really easy to do. What I'm going to do next is actually, we're just going to cover the nav bar totally in this lesson. So you might be wondering, well, okay, what next? How do I actually get this image to my developer so that it can be used in my app? So what you'll do, I'm going to just drag this adjustments panel back over. The way that I have the buttons built, okay, your buttons are going to look like this without having to slice them out. All right, this is done programmatically. And for mock-up purposes, what you'll want to do is save this screen out for your developers so that they know what the end result will look like or what it should look like. But for the purposes of getting them the actual background image, what you want to do is actually take this imagery off, and you want just this piece right here. And the dimensions that you want to slice out are 320 by 44. Okay? So what we'll do is get our slice tool, which you can hit the C key. And I'm going to pull this over so you can see it better. So here are the various slicing tools or related slicing tools. What you'll want is the actual slice tool, not the crop tool or the slice select tool, but the actual slice tool. And I don't worry about it being perfect right away. What I'll do is I'll make my slice and then double click on that slice, because you can adjust the slice via the little dialog here when you double click on it. You'll also notice whenever I hover over this slice, it becomes this slice select tool. And so that's basically saying you can adjust this slice once you're hovering over it. So double click on it and we'll name it navbar. And then we want the dimensions to be 320 by 44, which it's already 44. The guides that are on here should help with that. So you can see here what's happening is it's actually over the edge a little bit. And so what we want to do is make an adjustment so that that 1 pixel there is actually, and so the way that you do that is you just hit your arrow key. Bam, just did it. And then what we want to do is also make sure from top to bottom we've got it sliced out right, which we don't. Okay, so, and if I turn on my guides, you can see basically it's off by 1 pixel. Okay, so we'll use our down arrow key and bam, we got it. All right, so that's ready to slice out. And so to slice it out, you just go to File, Save for Web, and it'll bring up the Save for Web dialog right here. And you can see there's a brown boundary box around this, and that means that's the slice you're going to be exporting. If I had multiple slices on here, I would have to go through and click on all of those, holding down the Shift key to make sure all of them got exported. But in this case, we just want this one exported, so that's what we're doing. All right, so that's selected. We always want to export PNG-24 You can keep transparency checked. It's just a good default, even though there's no transparency on this image. It's just good to keep that checked by default. And then hit save. And I'm just saving to the desktop here. I'm going to create a new folder for sliced images. And I want only images. The settings, you can keep it custom. And I'll only want selected slices. That's it. And then I hit save. Okay. And then you can see here under the sliced images, there's our nav bar right there. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so bam, you get 10 minutes, you have a completely custom nav bar. All right, so I mean, anybody who says that you can't get around Photoshop and do some cool stuff, even if you're not like a total pro, nonsense. You can totally do it. So anyway, I'm going to get into the background and tab bars next, and we'll see you in a minute.